A, B, C, D, E, F, G, my God, Google Plus for you and me. Shout it out, everybody. Yay! What
Oh
beautiful
my
singing.
gosh! What a wonderful way to start off a
Oh,
fun
amazing,
time.
Sandra. Amazing.
And, and welcome to the ABCs of Google Plus.
Hey, everybody. Hope you appreciated the singing there. It was the best I could do.
Oh dear, this has been a morning and a half, guys. I tell
Certainly
you.
has.
Sean and I have been in the preliminary room, whether you want to call it the green room, the blue room, the red room, whatever room it's called. We've been in there chatting beforehand, trying to get everything ready for today, and talking about the elephants that are raining in the sky for YouTube. And we're going to be getting rid of the elephant in the room with YouTube as much as possible for today. Our goal is to make it more user-friendly for you, make YouTube be understandable, or make it understandable to you, and maybe that you'll enjoy it a little bit more, right, Sean?
Yeah, I think we better have some fun here, Sandra. That sounded a bit heavy to me. So, fun as well. Yeah, just to reassure you. There's some great people in the crowd, by the way, so I just wondered if we could do a few shout-outs.
Go ahead, you go for it.
Well, I mean, my God, Kevin's just as I said that, Kevin must have enormous empathy or something. So Kevin Burns. Great to see you here. Wayne Nix, fantastic. In fact, Wayne, bless him, I was having a coffee in Northampton in the UK, and I got a notification last week from Wayne. So we had a power of Google Plus. We had a brief sort of discussion while I was having a coffee in a Starbucks in the middle of Northampton town centre in the UK. So that's cool. Great to see Wayne. Cheryl and Carmen, welcome to you. And I was about to make a total fool of myself by saying we've got someone called Sandra in here, but maybe I won't do that. But welcome. More people are joining us. I think we're expecting Tony and one or two others a little bit later, and there's more people joining as we speak. So welcome, everybody.
That was great. I'm glad you mentioned everybody, because we're really grateful for everybody that shows up.
Absolutely.
Now, we're going to just jump right in here. First off, Sean, why don't you introduce yourself for anybody that's here that may not know you or anything?
Yeah, real pleasure. Thanks for asking me to do that. Sean Mahon, I know that's there's two challenges with that, one being my accent and one being the unusual spelling of my surname, but it's Sean Mahon. And if you like, my coaching organization is Successfully Social. And what that is basically within the UK, I run a social media consultancy. So I've got quite a number of clients from reasonable sized businesses to solopreneurs and sole business owners. And I also run, and Sandra helps beautifully on this, I also run a show called Successfully Social, where I interview actors and authors and people from various platforms, leadership platforms, business coaches who can share some distinctions about mindset and thinking. So it's great, and Sandra and I have connected and we get on really well, and thus that's what I do, and that's why I'm here. So thanks for inviting me again, Sandra.
Cool. I am so happy that you're here, Sean.
Thank you.
And you know what? I just blipped my screen so it was in the wrong place. You know how on TV a lot of times when they're talking with their microphones, they have their microphone there, and then they have this in front of it. Okay, I'm Sandra Watson with the ABCs of Google Plus. So while I'm talking, here's my little card. And you can see it on my lower third. We're here to make Google Plus a fun place, an easier place to navigate, and to make it more for your business than it was when you started. That being said, we're talking about the elephant in the room, YouTube. Many of us forget that YouTube is an arm, and it is a tool of Google Plus, because Google Plus now is Google. And it's another thing to learn. How many of us want another thing to learn? I don't know about you, Sean, but I get kind of tired of it sometimes. So
very true.
Let's go to what we were going to talk about. And the first thing is why? Why do we need YouTube in our business through Google Plus? Let's talk about that just a little bit. And first off, you and I talked about, Sean, a picture paints 1,000 words. You brought that up as a way to start it off, and it really is true. A picture does. That's why we're on this Hangout, because you get to see us in a moving picture. So pictures are very powerful. So, okay, our next topic, on that being said, Sean, let's go into the 3 things that you and I were discussing that would be great for everybody to understand, that people have become millionaires because of YouTube. Yeah. We're not insinuating that everybody that's watching this is going to become a millionaire. We're insinuating you have the possibility.
Yeah. As long as it's me, I really don't care. I'm more than happy. No, I think that's, in fairness, I think, you know, one of the things about social media, and I know we've discussed this, and in fact, funnily enough, Wayne and I were pinging each other about this last week, is that anything is possible. And the challenge is the gap between what's possible and where we find ourselves. So it's not necessarily that we'll all become millionaires overnight, though we'd all love to be. But there are some very, very simple things that we can all do on our YouTube channels, including Sandra and myself, where we're on the journey ourselves, that will help enormously. And I think, Sandra, you were leading up to some examples of this that you've actually got, haven't you, that you were hoping to share with us.
Right. The first one, Sean, I'd like for you to go ahead and talk about that one. That's
because you can't say
it. Okay, for those of you that don't understand how to say Disney and could help me, that'd be fine. But there's a channel called Disney Collectibles. And Sean, you have gone over that channel a little bit more than I have. I looked at it for certain because of, you know, we wanted to prepare for this. But why don't you share with the audience what you found out and why you find it a good example?
If that's okay, what I'll do is I'll take a step back before we get into it in that sense. And there are a number of ways of generating revenue via YouTube, and Sandra and I are going to go through them in a sequential way. One of the ways, of course, is through advertising. And we all know, whether we've used YouTube for business purposes so far, or we've just posted a few videos, or we've only ever watched videos on YouTube and we haven't done any Hangouts yet, and we've got nothing of our own on there. We all know the situation where at the end of a video, even at the beginning of a video, there are adverts. And sometimes they're irritating, sometimes they're quite attractive. But we all know that they generate revenue. Well, I did a bit of a search and I saw some amazing stuff. And the channel, the first channel I want to share with you, and I only share it just so you can start thinking about possibilities. It's a channel, we'll put all the links, by the way, in the event, after the event, but it's a channel called Disney Collectibles. And the point I want to make about this channel is that anyone who's coming onto this show thinking they've got to be an expert in video production, they've got to have an amazing voice, they've got to be super photogenic, whatever. Well, just look at me, I'm none of those things, you know. You realize that with Disney Collectibles, you can generate a huge amount of revenue through advertising. Now, this channel's got over 1 million subscribers, and all it is a sequence of 3-minute videos, if you can imagine, where somebody films themselves buying the Disney toy of the week. And having bought it, usually it's a pack of 5 or 6 different toys, and this person, it's a woman, will unpack the toys and put them on a display stand, and it takes about 3 minutes. And the idea is that it shows the optimum way to display the toys. Now, you would probably think that's the most boring thing in the world, and we're not advocating that as a business model, but you may be surprised to know that the worst month of income she's made in the last 12 months is $110,000. That was her worst month. The best month, over $1 million in advertising revenue. Now, that blew my mind because I looked at the videos, they're not particularly brilliant. It's not a business model that I would do, but it made me start thinking about reviews and how reviewing things on video and then driving subscribers and traffic to the YouTube site is obviously one way of generating revenue. So that's one particular channel. We will give you more information about different strategies, but just so that you come on here and realize that somebody in the space of 2 years with no video competency, not a great presenter, and not what you would think would be the most amazing business model, is making up to $1 million a month. Now, if we had a hundredth of that each, wouldn't that be magnificent? Back to you, Sandra. That was a very verbose discussion there. But what are you thinking?
Well, for me, the main thing that you and I were talking about, these 3 channels, is that, okay, our business is maybe not going to be doing unpackaging of items and making money from the revenue from the advertising, but there are different ways to make money with YouTube. And so what each of us want to do is look at how is it going to be possible for the product or the business that I am, or maybe you don't even want to make revenue from it, but I would assume that most of you are interested in how do people do that, because we've all talked about it. And we wonder, well, these are 3 examples of how people have done it. And we're looking at the power of video. That's basically the main thing. And Sean, I can see you're getting ready to just jump out of your shoes. So go ahead. What were you wanting to say?
Yeah. Hey, by the way, guys, I'm a bit of a blind guy from the UK at the moment. I've just got some new contacts in, so I'm squinting at the comment tracker. And Sandra and I know each other well enough that she's picked up on that. I was actually looking at a comment. I'm going to put it up here, and it may be the right moment. It may not be, but I think it's worth just flagging up, which is by Kathleen. Sorry, my apologies, Kathleen. Kathleen Tirani. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sean. I've been very reluctant to be one of the visible participants in the HOAs I host. I focus on the panelists who all use video, and I am a voiceover and the one who shares my screen for diagrams, PowerPoints, etc. I'm on the introverted side and much prefer guiding dialogues to being front and center. So I'm taking from that Kathleen's happy to share her voice but not necessarily be on video. Is this counterproductive, Kathleen goes on to say, to getting the point of the videos across? I'm feeling at a crossroads. Now, I only jumped in on that because it's not, Kathleen, and I think when we go on a little bit later, the PowerPoint model is one that a lot of internet marketers use to do phenomenally well promoting internet products via video. And you don't necessarily, in fact, if they use webinar platforms like GoToWebinar, although you can now share video images on GoToWebinar, you didn't used to be able to. So that was probably a bit of a boast, but the long and the short of it is, no, it's not a barrier. Yes, you can still use video. Yes, you are using video with your HOAs. People can still connect with you even if they're only just hearing you. And obviously, you've got the opportunity of other people potentially appearing in the video. But we'll revisit that later if that's okay.
That's a great point, and I'm glad you brought it up. And the one thing that we want to bring up is that whatever you're doing on YouTube, it's not so much that you're looking like the polished Hollywood producer or TV, because that's not what people are really wanting to see. They're wanting to see what is the content that you're getting out there, and certainly in a vivacious way, in a provocative way, so that it's entertaining in a sense. Maybe not always entertaining, but on a regular basis, they know what to expect. I'm going to get some good stuff from you. And so if you're putting good stuff out there and you're using the voiceover and it's working for you, then go for it. We're not here to tell you what is the perfect way and what's the non-perfect way. We're just saying use video. Use it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason is, even if it's just your voice, Kathleen, even if it's PowerPoint slides, it does provide a different form of engagement. So I know that not everybody who's going to be using YouTube will necessarily want it to promote a business. I would imagine the majority of people on this Hangout do. But my thinking is I'll always connect more with somebody who I get a sense of who they're about than I would with just the printed word. And I could still get a sense of what you're about, Kathleen, from listening to your voice via a video and your voiceover, if that makes sense. And coming back to Sandra's point, a lot of people are writing articles at the moment that are saying, if you went to the movies and you're going to see the latest Tom Cruise movie, clearly you're going to expect high quality special effects and a certain look. but actually people don't have that expectation on YouTube. They don't want it to look awful, but I think most people would rather have good, authentic content from people they trust, where there might be the odd hiccup in terms of dialogue and maybe the lighting isn't quite correct, than a really, really glossy YouTube product where, you know, where they may not actually believe in the conviction of that person that's being interviewed. Clearly, ideally, you'd like both. You'd like a glossy YouTube product and you know, real connectivity. But if it's a choice between the two, people will always go for the authenticity, to use that dreaded word again, even if it doesn't look quite as sharp. So we don't have to be, you know, we don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be a Hollywood film producer. So I'm raving about this because I'm finding YouTube really exciting. So Sandra, you're going to have to pull me in. I think we need to show some real specific statistics in a minute so people can get their head around that. Mm.
And Wayne, I just saw your note, and I'm sure that Sean will in a moment, and we'll get to that in a little bit because we want to get onto these other two channels and not get lost in the track of what we're doing here. The next one is the Fine Brothers, and again, we're going to put the link to these three channels down below after the show because we would like for you to go and see what they're doing. They're obviously doing a lot of things right for what they are after. And the other thing is that you might want to consider and think about is that this Disney Channel, this lady, didn't start out to be who she was. She started out just doing it for the fun of it in a way, and then it just progressed for her that this is what people liked. So it is sometimes finding out what people want from you on your channel, but you have to start somewhere. Yes, Sean.
So, yeah, I'm wondering, is it worth just to take a step back for a minute? Is it worth showing that custom overlay, which had some of the stats about?
You want me to go out of sequence?
I know, oh my God, no! How could I? It's terrible.
Okay, this is the factoid of the day, and here we go. You want to read them, Sean?
Yeah, I better click on it, hadn't I, and get my contacts in. Yeah, I mean, let's take a step back and just check this out, guys. Point one, you can all read it, but I'll read it anyway. Video can increase conversion rates well over 60%. So the simple fact that you could either have a long sales letter, let's not get too technical about it, but we've all seen those incredibly long and very effective sales letters enticing you or attempting to entice you to buy a product. When used in conjunction with video, conversion rates go up significantly. And whatever that product is, whether it's trying to sell you a vacation or an internet marketing product or I don't know, a subscription to something, a health club, conversion rate goes up massively just by adding in video. And that's because of the connection we've begun to talk about, the fact that people can see and engage with the purveyor of the offer. Here's the thing, points 2 and 3. The reason we've got to be smarter, Wayne Nix put something up about keywords, and the reason Wayne would have brought that up is the thing is YouTube is expanding, which is brilliant for us, but it's becoming congested. So what's happening is over 4 billion, believe it or not, hours of videos are watched every month. Now clearly for Sean Mahon's videos, enigmatic as I pretend that I am and like to think I am, if my video is going to stand out among 4 billion hours of other videos, I've got to be pretty smart about how I annotate that video, what I call that video, what tags I put into that video. And before anyone goes, we're going to cover that in a little bit. Every minute, so we've been on for 20 minutes, so every minute 72 hours of video is uploaded. Now, what does that mean? 720 hours of video would be 10 minutes. My math is rubbish, but you double that, and that's how many minutes of new, or not necessarily new video, but shared video. That's how many minutes of video have now been added. So what we've got is YouTube is definitely not going anywhere. If anything, it's expanding. And we're kind of still riding the crest of the wave. And all of us here at the vanguard of that, believe it or not, we really, really are. So if we're really smart about what we do now and learn our craft on YouTube, the sky's the limit. And where YouTube's going to go in the next 5-10 years, it's not going anywhere but bigger. And then that brings us back to some of the other questions that are being posted. Do you mind if I just share Tony's comment as well? Because I think that just endorses. And good to see you, Tony. Love your videos, my friend. This man is a master of videos. I've got to say, Tony Grant. If you don't know him, check him out. Tony, video is definitely the way forward. It's interesting. This is intriguing, by the way, and it backs up what we were saying about you don't have to be glossy Hollywood producers. So get your head away from that. You really don't. Tony says it's interesting that some of the uglier, quote unquote, videos and those with seemingly subpar production standards are usually far more successful than the perfect looking channels and videos. And thank you, Tony. You make a really good point, because he says that means that everyone can definitely do it. Don't hesitate. Make videos and upload them. Don't wait to get them perfect. Just do them and make them better later on if you can. That is absolutely superb, Tony. And just like Sandra said, this woman who's making between $110,000 to $1 million, $1 million 1 month, probably made $2 the first month she ever did the channel, but she's just learned her craft and refined it. So great share, Tony. Thank you for that. That's absolutely terrific. Right, Sandra, I've done my usual excitable Brit thing. Sorry.
No, I think that's great. I mean, they're coming in at the right spot, and it's what people want to know, and that's important. You know, when we find out some of these things, it makes it exciting. I think the biggest thing is when we got into social media, and even on Google Plus, we didn't know what we were doing, but we still stepped in and started something. We maybe did a post at the wrong time, or we shared something at the wrong time, but we later learned, okay, I'm going to do it differently. That's what we're trying to get people to understand about YouTube. This is the time you want to be doing YouTube. It's important to make that part of your strategy and part of your marketing plan, because a picture is 1,000 words, and video, YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world at this point. And if you go to search something, the statistics say that 85% of the time people will pick a video over the written word. So you have a video on there about something that somebody has a magnificent blog about, or an article, 85% chance that you will still be chosen first because you have the video. If there aren't obviously millions of them out there, but depending on how you're doing your channel and how how prominent you're making yourself, certainly you have a better chance. So just keep these things in mind. We tend to overlook some of the simple things.
Can I also add just something, and we won't go into detail on this, because what we're going to do is share some not screen shares, but custom overlays, and give you a sense of what everything looks like. But think about traffic as well, and the costs using things like Google AdWords. Again, I'm not going to go into the detail on that. Some of you will, yeah, I know everything about Google AdWords. Some of you will know a lot. Some of you won't. So suffice it to say that there are ways of generating virtually free traffic with YouTube. It isn't always free, but it's a lot cheaper than other methods. And then when you ramp that up, and we'll talk about this maybe in future Hangouts, when you link that into paid advertising like Google AdWords or Facebook ads, you can really do phenomenally well with your videos. Now, neither Sandra and I are saying, by the way, just in case you go and check our channels out and expect to see that we've got 500 million subscribers each, we're still learning too. So anyone who wants to jump on the stream with some really solid experience, just like Tony did, you're very welcome. But the thing is, you know, there is a lot that can be done. So it's not just the stickability of video, it's the fact you can generate a lot of interest at negligible cost, which has got to be great when you're starting up a business.
Well, you know, one of the other things that we want to bring up here real quick, since we're getting into our time crunch, we're at halfway through, and we do have some other things to talk about. The Fine brothers, I'm going to skip over them just for a moment, Sean, and go to Charlie Bit My Finger again.
Oh my God.
And I really recommend you go look at it. It's a cute little video, and it's one that went viral. Keep in mind, viral is not something you want to keep in your mind, because the purpose of this is not to have a one-night wonder, a viral that does extremely well. Now, this family, Sean, you and I were talking about, has, since they have posted this video, has brought in over $200,000 worth of revenue to their family. Okay, it has been on YouTube for a while, so 200,000, you can do the mathematics on it, but that's $200,000 they didn't have otherwise. What if you had a video there and you are monetizing it from your YouTube channel and it does go viral? There's no saying that that's what your goal is, because how can you know what's going to be? We can't. But if you do, then the possibilities there. So that's the one thing you want to keep in mind is just, you know, when you're doing these, make them for the reason that's the right reason, and it's to share things that you think people are really going to enjoy or like or want. And then, hey, who knows what's going to happen? But Charlie bit my finger. Yeah, look at that one. Now, let's go to the Fine Brothers. Sean, since I said that, is there anything you want to add to the Fine Brothers channel?
Yeah, I mean, keep in mind, we're not saying the only way you can generate revenue is through creating a video that's got so much traction and you've got so many subscribers that you get huge amounts of advertising and advertising revenue. That's not what we're saying. But what we are saying is that people, ordinary people like you and I, when they've got some focus and clarity as to what they want their channel to be, can do the most phenomenal things pretty quickly in terms of generating income, one way of which is advertising revenue. We're going to share some other ways in a minute. But the Fine Brothers, again, we'll share the link. These are, well, actually, there's 4 people, 2 guys, two ladies, 2 women. And what they do is they've created a community where they get the community to review things. It could be game releases, it could be camera technology, it could be news items. But I've written down somewhere how many subscribers they got. I think it's pretty close to 1 million subscribers, so you and I are not necessarily going to get 1 million subscribers straight away. But again, I think each of those 4 people takes something like $200,000 to $250,000 home pretty much every month. You're thinking, even as I say that, yeah, Sean, you know, that's all very well and good, but, you know, they're different to us. Remember, the point which Sandra and I are trying to make isn't that we're all going to be $250,000 a month dollaires next week, but, you know, they started from somewhere, and we can too. And that's just one of the models. So we've done a little bit about the advertising revenue. Now, did you have some slides at this point you wanted to pull up, Sandra, or?
I do. What I want to bring up first is this one here. I think this is something to keep in mind. YouTube helps you find your target audience. And that's one thing that we forget about. We're always talking about target audience. And my gosh, how can that happen? I mean, a lot of you are sitting there thinking, I don't get that maybe, or I do get it. Some of you, you know, you can put 2 and 2 together and say, okay, I get it. But if people are coming and they're watching it and they're talking about it and recommending it, the people that are coming and watching, it's because they're of interest to them. So they definitely are your target market. And now if you can turn them into a subscriber and they're there on a regular basis, my goodness, how good is that? I mean, this is pretty exciting stuff when you think about that's another way to find my target market. Wouldn't you say, Sean?
I would. Do you know, if we were in a room, all of us together right now, I'd do something like, who here by a show of hands is using their YouTube channel? Who here is really clear on what to do? Who here is clear on their target market? So maybe people can post in the stream. Is everyone really? I'd be really curious to get a sense of the spectrum we've got here. I mean, we've had Wayne saying that one of his big issues is keywords and rationalizing. And it does fit in with your target market point, Sandra, if you'll indulge me for a second. Other people who might be just coming in out of curiosity, other people who kind of get the sense they should be on YouTube and it's connected to the Google Plus channels, they've got a YouTube account but they've done nothing with it. It'd be really intriguing to see where people are. But yeah, absolutely. If you, like any form of marketing, if you've got a channel, and in this case YouTube is just another channel, and you can create content that is specific to that target, and not only that, you get attention to your channel, so you drive attention, you drive people to either come into your channel and subscribe to it, or you're posting your videos in so many other areas that people are seeing them everywhere, and you're putting other content out there that links into the videos, then you can do wondrous things. But it's very much about targeting. That's for sure. There are some comments coming through, but you've got something, Sandra, you wanted to share.
No, I'm going to bring up our next little tip right here. Did it not come up?
I think so.
It's not showing on my screen.
You're talking to the guy with very bad contacts.
Okay, there, now it's showing. Okay, another tip off the old block from the Rockin' the Blocks of the ABCs of Google Plus with Sean Mahon and Sandra Watson. Okay, you can create short videos on YouTube direct, which we will give you the tip on how to do that later on, but think about it. You can go in there and you can create quick little 3 to 5 minute episodes whenever you want. So there's a lot of cool things that you can do in YouTube. Now, that being said, that we've given you that tip, let's go back now, Sean, to another thing. Okay, we talked about you can promote your product on YouTube.
You can. I'm going to really annoy you. You're going to want to reach out of the screen and give me such a slap in a minute. I know you're going to do this because you see my eyes going everywhere, and I just have to take, and it is linked into you can promote your product on YouTube, but people are probably beginning to get a bit restless in the trenches and go, "Oh, tell us, just tell us." So I'm going to take Wayne's comment. Wayne, hi, how you doing? So Wayne's saying, makes a great point, it's very difficult to describe my target market. Any tools to help us decipher it? A very good question here. It kind of begs the question, if you've got different target markets, one way that you could tackle that is, of course, you can have, I know it might seem like more work, but you can have more than one YouTube channel. So I know, Wayne, you've got your Hangouts where you cook, and I know also you're very oriented towards healthcare, and professionally that's an area of focus for you, and obviously that's a passion of yours as well. So there may be a case in cases where people are writers and they've got a certain audience, but they've got a little chunk over here that they do as well, that if they try and do all of that on the same channel, it's just going to be confusing to the audience. And much like if you created a series of different magazines for different target audiences, you might want to think about doing a series of different channels. So my advice would be, have a think about that. If it's too much work, then maybe don't do it. Then what you might want to do then instead is just create very specific playlists. So you can have a playlist for the, in Wayne's case, the healthcare issues, and keep that very distinct. I wouldn't advocate this as the first choice. I'd actually advocate separate YouTube channels if you've got really disparate niches, but certainly you could do playlists and keep everything in playlists.
Well, I think bringing up that you just brought up playlists, let's talk about that just for a second, because what people tend to forget is that you can have different segments of what your business is via the playlist, and Absolutely. We forget that. And just for your information, I've posted this before, but I'm going to mention it again. Each playlist, you can have unlimited playlists in YouTube. So you could have infinity. That doesn't make a difference. 200 videos max per playlist. So think about what you could put in there. Now, the other thing is, Sean, you and I were talking about this the other day, and people, we tend to forget this. We think, okay, playlists are confusing. Let's say I have something on here about my hobby, and then I have something about my business on my YouTube channel. How is that going to be effective for people? And it's maybe similar to what you were just saying to Wayne on this. The one thing is, people are not searching for a playlist. They are searching for a topic. When they go in to do a search, they're searching how to, what is.
Absolutely.
So that search engine is taking them to the video, to your channel. But just kind of remember, how often do you really go through somebody's playlist? A lot of times, hardly ever, because you've gone for a specific reason. So if you have other things that you want to put on your YouTube channel, just put them in a different playlist with a different name and a different description. And that will help keep them segmented, but they're still getting searched in Google search.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, because, I mean, I'm going to hold my hand up, still a newbie to both Google Plus and YouTube. I don't want to be a newbie, and I'm working not to be. But the misconception I had, and I don't know if this is familiar to any of you here, is you kind of get a sense that if you just draw people into your channel, somehow miraculously, they'll come and sit in your channel, have a lovely old search around, and have a great old time, and 20 minutes later, as they're drinking their coffee, they'll still be happily immersed in Sean's amazing channel. Well, that might happen if I had a million subscribers, but the chances are it probably won't. So Sandra's point is a really, really good point. Make each video stand out and attract, so that if I'm doing, forget a YouTube search, but if I'm actually just in the Google toolbar and I'm searching for how to, well, let's say how to lose 6 pounds in 10 days, if that was your particular niche, your video would come up to the top. Now I know it's more complicated than that, but basically the big mistake that I quite commonly made in my early videos, which were just basically my hangouts, was I'd call them the most bizarre titles in the world that nobody in their right minds would ever search for. And surprise, surprise, I had about 5 subscribers. I haven't got many more than that now, to be honest. But that's going to change as I change my titles and annotations. So that's one thought. I know it's gone down a certain track. I'm also glancing at some of the other comments about gamifying titles and gamifying videos to go viral. Kevin made a comment on that. We can tackle that now, Sandra. We can leave that for the moment.
I think we ought to leave. Yeah, I think it's an important point. That elephant is really in the room. I can't even talk today. I think it's an important point. It's a very good point there, Sean. But I want us to get past this point here just for a minute. Can we go on to the other things that YouTube can do for you? We said promote a product. And it can obviously generate income either through ads or through what we're selling because of the videos that we're doing. It can help us build a home business, which many of us are doing. I mean, we're working from home now, where there's going to be more of that. And as I elaborate on some of these headlines, Sean, if you want to say anything, feel free to for a moment, because then we want to get into the tips, how to get into YouTube just for the beginner as we get down to the end here. Find you lots of free traffic, free being the operative word here. I think that's really a good one. We forget that we can get traffic through YouTube, and that's another good reason to be there. Allow you to advertise for free. I mean, think about it. We have our own free advertising channel. We can do commercials. We can do infomercials. We can do whatever we want to with them. That doesn't mean that everybody's going to get bored seeing them all the time, because they're not going to. We're not going to be pushing those all the time.
Well, actually, you know what? There's 2 schools of thought on that, because the other thing, let's not forget, we can get very parochial, can't we, and think about Google Plus and YouTube as defining our social media world. But the reality is, I'm looking at some of the names in the stream, and I see some of you guys on Twitter, and I see some of you guys on Facebook, and I see some of you guys on Pinterest, and I see some of you guys elsewhere. And you know, you can really selectively. Well, first of all, I'll take a step back. I think we should be putting out regular YouTube content and creating it almost to a schedule. Well, it's not the end of the world if we don't, because some of us are just beginning. But would you subscribe to a magazine if it only published something every 6 months? You wouldn't. So let's get some content out there regularly, even if it's like I need to scroll down. Remind myself, was it Kathleen? Even if it's not got your voice on, just got your voice on. Get something out there, even if it's just PowerPoint slides. Tony mentioned this as well. The second thing is use different channels, you know, and I've just started sharing YouTube videos on my Twitter and my Facebook business page, and lo and behold, that gets traction. It gets people back in to subscribe to your YouTube channel, but more importantly, it's giving those people who see you on Facebook and Twitter another way of looking at you and hearing your voice and getting to get a sense about what you're all about. So make sure you share that content quite widely. If that was a bit of a digression, I apologize. I can't talk now. I'm back again. Yeah, I think whatever it is, the elephant is certainly in the room. But do that as well.
Okay, you know what I'm going to do now, Sean? I'm going to pull up Wayne Nix's comment, because I think this is a really good one to talk about right here. And he says, how aggressive should you be in regards to sign up for my channel now? And can I add in there, like me below? Right. Sometimes this can be seen as begging. What say you, Sean Mahon and Sandra Watson? And since I'm on here right now, I'll talk first, and then you can, Sean. But this is what I would say to that. I think that from everything that I have learned about YouTube, I think we need to be aggressive about that, because people don't think about it. A lot of people that are coming to YouTube are not from our family here on Google Plus or wherever our family is. These are people that don't know us, and if we don't tell them that we would like for them to like us below, and we really want them to subscribe, because we're going to be doing this on a regular basis, if they subscribe, they're going to get notification because they're a subscriber. It's their choice whether or not they want to watch the next video or not. YouTube has made it very easy for us to do some of these things, and I think we need to take advantage of those tools. It's a call to action, Wayne. And the one thing that we tend to do as business owners is to forget the call for action. And Sean, you and I have been preaching that and talking about it so much lately that I know that you're probably just frothing at the mouth to add to it. So I've just put you on.
Well, I'm. Have you? 'Cause I can still see the comment.
Well,
have I?
Yeah,
Right.
you didn't see you, but you're on.
Okay. Well, well, that's a relief because I was just wiping that froth. I was actually frothing, champing at the bit, as they say. Do you know what, Wayne? I'm totally with you. In one sense, I wasn't very good at this, and I kind of had this nicey Brit, genteel sensibility here. But the reality is, I don't think people, generally speaking, I think the reality is people aren't really offended. Most people will filter out, they'll look at the video, and if there's no call to action, you're going to lose them anyway. So why not put a call to action in there? That's the first thing, because if you don't, you're going to lose them. So you may as well. And if you lose people as a result of that, well, the chances are they wouldn't have engaged with you anyway. That's the worst case scenario, by the way. That's me putting the pessimistic point on it. The second element for me is that people need to be led. Because actually, if you think about when you're watching a video, you're also thinking about what the discussion you've just had with your partner, possibly, what your kids are doing, the end of year show that your kids are in, a million and one other things. And sometimes your brain isn't, even though as a creator of the video, we all want everybody to be totally engaged in it. The reality is the viewer isn't always. So you need to make it easy for them to know what to do next. And if that sounds patronizing, as we say in the UK, perhaps patronizing, I don't know if I pronounced it the way that you would, but if that sounds funny, it's true. Research shows that most people are not offended, actually, because if they want that service or offer, they'll take action. And then the other thing is it's in the phrasing, isn't it? You don't have to put, if you don't subscribe now, I'm going to send the boys round, sort of thing, in my London gangster accent. you can put something like, if you've enjoyed this and you'd like to know more, I know it's a lot of copy, why not click here? Now the reality is that's too big a call to action. Subscribe now, I don't think is offensive. I would say by not doing it, you're hurting yourself more than by doing it. I definitely would. And remember as well, you can think about, I don't know if it's appropriate to talk about different calls to action here, Sandra, or we'd save that for later. But suffice it to say, there are different calls to action.
Yeah, and I think we'll save it for later because you and I really get off onto a tangent on that. I will just point out, I just did a little short remake of something from a video that Sean was in, and what we did in it is I added an annotation that said, Sean would really like if you like this video below. And it added a little bit of humor to it, but it got across the point, yeah, we do want likes, and we do want subscriptions because that is going to help us. Okay, now that we've talked about subscriptions and how to do that, I hope that helped a little bit.
Can I just put something up from Tony?
You sure can.
Because Tony, a lot of you will know that I never say anything in 3 words. That can take 200 words to actually do. So Tony puts it far more succinctly. Here we go. Always ask for the like or the subscription. If they don't want to, they won't. It's not offensive at all on YouTube. I would totally agree with that. Nicely put. And actually, it's not offensive to the person. I don't think anyone gets horrified. If they're not going to, they're not going to anyway. And they'll just not bother. But they wouldn't have done anyway, Wayne. So I would definitely go for subscriptions or likes or click onto a blog or opt-ins or whatever it may be. And Sandra, we're going to show how to do that a little bit later, are we not? Or is that for another time?
Well, no, we're going to get to it right now, real quick. I want to say, I do want to say what you have just said adds to the fact, and Tony, definitely. By doing this, we are essentially building a community, just like you would build a community in your Google Plus account, where you build a community. You ask people to join your community. It's no different. We're asking them to join this community of people that like what we are doing. And
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
No, it's not okay. I've interrupted you. I'm so sorry.
I'm used to it. It's okay.
Oh, God.
I can handle rejection.
No, I love you, Sandra. I love you. Know that.
I know you do.
Oh, no. It just occurred to me, often what we try and do is reinvent the wheel. And we're sitting here and we're sharing this discussion. But Why not go and look at, some of you will have subscribed to some channels already. So something made you subscribe to those channels. Were you offended when you saw the call to action? The chances are you probably weren't, because what that person communicated to you had some resonance. And so it was a simple matter to click subscribe. And that's the experience that your viewers will have over time with your stuff. So don't get troubled by it, just like Tony said. You're actually doing them a service. If you really believe that you're creating quality content, but then you don't ask for an action, is it possible you might be actually letting them down? I know this sounds a bit of a weird thing to say, and I'm not the first person to have said it either. But you know what? There are people that want your information, and if you're confident and proud about it, it deserves to get out there. So I wouldn't hesitate. And the other thing I was just going to say is model. You know, if you subscribe to anything or you're considering subscribing to something, just look at what those channels are asking for and how they're asking, and just replicate the way they're asking. Because if it's not offended you, the chances are you can replicate that in the way that you ask, and it won't offend other people. I'll shut up now. I'll have a coffee and shut up.
Okay, we have gotten through a lot of interesting information, and for the last part of our Hangout, what Sean and I want to do is to share a few little things with people who are not using their YouTube channel probably at all, because this is the ABC. So we're taking the assumption that you want to know what to do next. All right, when you go into your YouTube account, now we're not going to the very basics, but one of the things that Sean and I talked about is a lot of people say, how do I even get to where I'm going? How do I upload my video? That's going to be the first thing that we're going to talk about here, how to upload a video. So I'm going to share this with you right now, and Sean, let you and I talk about this.
Sure.
This is assuming now that you are in your YouTube account, your page, and up at the top you will see that it says upload right next to your little avatar picture up there, and on the right you can see it says or shows my picture, and it says one by the bell, and then it says upload. When you click upload, this is the picture that you will get on your computer. Number one, you're going to select files to upload. Click on select files to upload. Find the video on your device, your computer, and start the process. That's easy. People that are here, you all know how to do that, and quite frankly, if you don't, then you're going to have to take some lessons on to how to upload to web things, and that's probably more than what we're going to go into ever, because that's not our bullywig, if you will. So you're going to get your video, and it's going to start the upload. Oh my gosh, Sean, what is going on?
Have a coffee. Get yourself a coffee.
I'm not even out. Where's the coffee? Upload procedure. Now, number two, what I want to bring up here is hint. The uploaded video defaults to public, and some of you right away, it's going to be, oh my gosh, I don't know if this is right. Is this what I want to do? Keep in mind, you can change that right there before you start the upload procedure. Click on that and make it private, so that when it's finished uploading, it is going to be private until you change it back to public. And that you would do in your editing of your video manager, and we're going to talk about that next. But Sean, was this a problem for you when you first started? Did you have trouble understanding how to upload a video? Did you know where to go?
Yeah, I didn't actually. What I was doing was I was using, not that there was anything wrong with it, it still worked, but I was using, if you like, a separate camcorder to record the videos, not realizing I could do it on my webcam, and then that would go onto my laptop, and then I wasn't entirely sure how to get it onto YouTube. So once I saw, in fact it was you, all credit to you, Sandra, once you showed me how to do it, it was pretty straightforward, and it is pretty straightforward, but sometimes it's just knowing where things are, isn't it?
It is. And YouTube has just changed a little bit of the language, and people are having a little bit of a problem understanding where to go once they get into their YouTube homepage. How do you get any place? Because things on the left aren't the same. Okay, It has now gone to the Creator Studio. And here we are again. This is a little screen share, well, not screen share, but an overlay that we put together for you on. if you go up there in the top where your picture is, your profile picture, your avatar, and click on that, it will show you Creator Studio and then your settings icon. When you click on Creator Studio, it will take you to your page that you need to do your video manager. Once you get there, then we're going to go here, and now once you click Creator Studio, it takes you to this drop-down menu on the left here, and Video Manager is where you want to click. That gets you to all your fun stuff to do your work in YouTube. I called it fun stuff, and I said that's another lesson.
Yeah, fun stuff.
Because Sean
Sometimes.
got real quiet, and I can tell it's really funny. I mean, here we are, we're talking about, you know, how-to stuff, and everybody says, okay, could you repeat that again? Thank goodness this is on recording on YouTube later, and you can go to those two places. But, you know, now you know how to get in there and how you can get around. Once you click on Video Manager, then it brings drop downs, and then you can go in and you can see your videos, edit them. That's a whole nother, again, tutorial on itself, because editing and so forth, you don't want to get into that right now. Sean, do you have anything you want to say for the moment?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing, sorry, this isn't a contradiction. The only thing I would say, just because of some of the questions we've had in the stream, is that never think that what you've done, so let's say, well, Wayne, I hope you don't mind me doing this, but in your case, Wayne, you were sort of honest enough and generous enough to share that, you know, you're still thinking about how you're going to optimize your channel. So, of course, you'll know this, but for those that may not, you can have 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, a couple of hundred videos on there, and you can go back and change the titles. As you learn more things, what those videos were 2 months ago are not necessarily set in stone, so you can edit them in terms of the content, the audio, edit the look of them, edit the titles, edit the tags. So the only reason I say that is Sandra's right, we don't want to get into the detail on that, but never think you've got one chance to make it absolutely perfect, and if you blow it, then that's it, you've lost your opportunity, you might as well give up, forget YouTube and go home. Because actually you can tweak and change things, and I think that's really encouraging. And by tweaking, changing things, sometimes you'll find a video that had no traction 4 weeks ago, suddenly it's got traction, and all you've done is just tidied it up and changed the descriptors and the tags and the data a little bit. So I think that's really encouraging.
And one of the things that you brought up by saying that, Sean, is that as times change, language changes, you know, popular words that people are using, we might want to add those into our description or something. So it really is advantageous to keep that in the back of your mind. This is just a little marketing tip for the future, that you might want to regularly go in and look at some of your videos and see if you need to change the wording of the title and or the description and tag words and phrases, you know, long tail, because everybody always wonders, if I change it, what does that do? Does that take me off the list? Well, actually, in YouTube, it can almost look like a new video upload because you've changed the name. So it re-ranks you. So it's a good thing to do. Now that we're talking about that, the other thing that we want to talk about is when you get into, I think this is the right overlay that I want. Oops, no, it's not the right one. We want to create a video on YouTube. And so that's not it either. Okay, now I've lost what I wanted to do. I think I found it, guys. It's called Record a Video on YouTube.
Yeah.
A lot of you say, we've been talking about, you can go into YouTube. This is one of the best tips for people that don't know it. You can actually go to YouTube and record a video, and it will go directly to YouTube. Sean, you cleared your voice. What does that mean?
No.
Okay, all right.
That was actually clearing my throat. Sorry.
Okay. Click on up there where it said upload. Again, when you click on upload, it will bring up this. Originally, I was showing you this part over here where you're going to upload it from your computer, but I've covered it up with this green box. You will also see on the right webcam capture. This is so exciting, guys. You can click this little icon here, and it will take you to a screen where you can actually record right there, and then it will be sent to YouTube. So it's like doing a live HOA in a sense, only nobody's watching you do the recording. Now, when you are done with the recording and you don't like it, it does not have to go there automatically. You can delete it and record again. So don't panic that this is a one-chance pony horse dance. It doesn't happen like that. You get the opportunity to look at it and say, no, I want to do it again. But think about it. You have the opportunity to go in and do 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute little short videos every day if you want to, and post them to YouTube. There's not a lot of preparation for that in a sense, and you can get a feeling for how easy it is. So I really think this is a great thing for people to think about. Now, Sean, you had another point about this that you wanted to bring up about the photo slideshow.
Oh, no. It's not really rocket science. This is my little fumbling steps, actually. But I was thinking today that a lot of my video content had been really, to be honest, created by HOAs. And there's two problems with that. One, I'm not doing some of my own HOAs with the frequency that I was. And the second one is that HOAs are not exactly the most comfortable things for people to watch, much as we would like to say, as a casual YouTube viewer. Clearly, we're pleased that you guys are watching now, but the reality is, when people come onto your YouTube channel for the first time and see hour-long videos, they're very unlikely to stick with them for very long. We know the optimum time for a video is 2 or 3 minutes. So with those thoughts in mind, I found that there's another way you could create videos. It might go some way towards Kathleen's point as well, where if you've got some really good images, I know people like Tony will be going, God, I knew this, Sean, what are you talking about? But for me, it was something I've come to a bit slowly. And it's about creating videos quite economically, slide share videos through your photos, through that particular YouTube function, which, by the way, also gives you copyright-free music. So you can then have a soundtrack with music that isn't going to breach YouTube's terms and conditions. And again, as we've already discussed, you can slap a call to action on it at the end. So, you know, when people are playing around with GIFs, why not make a short 2-minute video with some interesting GIFs? If you're not comfortable, initially showing your face, why not do something? Show some images, put some messages in there that might link. Sheila, for example. Sheila, you've not used YouTube. I think from memory your business is real estate. So could you do something with some really good images of really good properties in your area, and stitch them together, make a video, put a nice soundtrack on, have a call to action to your realtor business? If I don't pronounce that properly, that's just my UK accent. But could you not do that? And that could take you 5 minutes. But it could get some tremendous traction. So it's not necessarily complicated. Zara's just popped in and said webcam capture. She didn't know about that, so that's cool. So there are some things in what Sandra's just shown you that are really, really easy to use. Have I gone off track? Probably.
Well, just a tad. It's not a problem. And are we off track? No, we're talking about what we came to help people with. This is one, Sean, I'm going to read, and I think we're both going to talk about this maybe just for a second before we get to the ending here. Story Catchers Media has said, does monetizing, turning on ads, ding your rankings in SEO? Quite frankly, I have to tell you, I don't know the answer to that because I'm not an SEO specialist when it comes to knowing that. We could check around and see if there's an answer to that. I'm not sure. However, the next part of this says, I have stayed away from it because of all of our content is done on behalf of our clients, so it's their property. Listen, I think that's a really good point, because if you start monetizing videos that you are putting on there that have proprietary information in it, you could have your channel shut down. And you could lose your monetization privileges for sure. And I was aware of that because I had something like that happen to me. So I would check into that. I'm not an expert on the monetization side, but I do know that if you are monetizing somebody else's proprietary information, that you cannot do that.
I suppose there's two parts to that, aren't there? If Story Catchers Media are posting the videos on behalf of a client and it remains Story Catchers Media, sorry, I'll say that again, Story Catchers Media channel, then the monetization revenue, if any was generated, would go to Story Catchers, and that would be a problem. But if they've given the ownership of the channel to the client, and the client owns the channel, and Story Catchers is just doing the posting on it, and effectively managing it, then I would have thought the revenue would go to the, I may be wrong on this, but the revenue from any adverts would go to the client. So in that case, as long as the client was happy, I wouldn't necessarily see that there would be a conflict. But I'll just double check on that. So it all depends who actually owns the channel, I guess. Monetizing is an interesting thing. I'm not sure it affects SEO, but there's certain times when I would monetize and certain times when I wouldn't. And I certainly wouldn't monetize. For example, you can create a short introductory video to your channel, and the whole purpose of that video is to draw people into your channel. I think it's a stretch too far to then try and monetize it, because I know full well that if it was me and I looked at that introductory video and someone was monetizing the introductory video, I wouldn't join the channel. So that's a very convoluted way of saying be selective. I don't think monetizing is a good or bad necessarily. You just do it strategically, but be discerning as to when you do it.
I definitely would be discerning, and if you are just using your clients' things that they have paid for to buy from you, I would check that out. I just think that that's an issue. And I just did bring up Tony's comment, because I think this is really good. He says monetizing video shouldn't hurt your SEO or rankings in any way. I suspect that's probably true, and I'm glad you brought that up, Tony. It might actually help, because Google and YouTube are getting a cut, so they may be more likely to show your videos. So that's a good point there. And then
actually, just think of those examples we started out with. Which were, for those of people that may have come in a bit late, they were channels that have got, in excess of 500,000 subscribers, and their model of revenue generation is purely through advertising. And we're not saying that's necessarily going to be your model, but it certainly hasn't harmed them. They're making significant dollar income every month, and their rankings are high. So they don't seem to have poor rankings as a result of monetization. That being said, I think it was a great question, and we need to be, you guys need to be thoughtful, just as we do, about it. Well,
we are now down to our last few seconds and minutes, and I think that I'm so excited that Storycatchers put up this little question, because this is going to be going into our next segment, our next HOA that we have. We're going to have a part 2 on YouTube, because there's so much to learn about it and know about it as a beginner. But their question was on the subject of the, and let me just post it and I'll take it off real quick. On the subject of call to action of please subscribe, I've seen that as a YouTube overlay that people can click on. Where can I find that in settings? Just a real quick answer here. I'm sure you'll agree, Sean. You go to annotations, and it will be in there. And we're going to go over how to add annotations on our next one, because that's a really big thing to know, how to make a clickable link on YouTube, because that is found in the annotations. And it's not that difficult, but if you don't know how to do it, it can take a while, right, Sean?
Yeah, it's like anything, isn't it? It seems a great secret until you realize how to do it, and then you realize it's not that complicated anyway. But it also fits in with Mr. Tony Grant's comments about ABC. I was in sales and marketing for ages. I guess I still am, and that was what my first sales manager, that's why I'm smiling, he said to me, Sean, young man, because I was young once, said, always be closing, ABC, always be closing in this case. So yeah, it's a good question, Storycatchers, and also when you do it, then you're going to fit in with what Tony states, which is you'll always have a call to action in, because they're so easy to do. Whatever that call to action is, whether it be a like, a subscribe, or a opt-in, or whatever it is, it's so easy, really.
It is. Well, Sean, we're at our goodbye time now, and one of the things I know, one of the things next time, like I said, we're going to be talking a little bit about annotations and other things, and many other things, and the fact that, guess what, guys, in the future, tip jars are coming to your YouTube channels, and we'll just briefly talk about that a little bit, but that should really get your creative juices wondering what that's going to be about.
Can I just throw?
Can you do that again? Yeah.
Don't take a snapshot just then. That would be really bad. Before I scare everybody to death with that awful expression, which wasn't a function of realizing I've just run out of coffee, but just a thought. for those people that might be interested in coming along to part 2, and to make it really serve you well, if there's anything, because this was more of a taster really, if there's anything you specifically want us to look at and focus on, why not post in the event page and just share what you want us to discuss? So we know, for example, that annotations and how to do the annotations is going to be key for a lot of people. We know that we need to get into calls to action in more detail, how to set them up and how to make them relevant so you can direct traffic via your videos to your blog posts, to your Facebook pages, elsewhere. All of that we can do. But what else is it? I mean, Wayne, for example, probably still got some thoughts on tags and structuring his channel. So maybe you've got some more questions there, Wayne. What else could we do? And then we can make it so focused. Is that a fair comment, Sandra? Or
I think
are you going to reach out?
I think that's no. That'd be hard to do. I can't imagine doing that virtually. I'm sure there's somebody really talented out there that could tell us how to
It'll
do it.
happen. 3D.
And with all of our future dollar errors, you know, I wrote down that word at the beginning of the HOA. I thought that was such a cute word that you came up with, Sean. Dollar errors. That's going to be the rest of it. we have finished, and I think that we've covered a lot of information. I'm sure many of you have your brains just swirling a little bit because there is so much. But the one thing I would say is please go to your YouTube channel, start looking at some of these things after we talk about them each time, start getting familiar with it, start using it a little bit more, because this is really where we are headed, is in videos, and we need to be aware of that and certainly start utilizing it and having fun with it. I mean, my gosh, look at us. We're on camera having fun, and you can do the same. So, Sean, what would you like to say to the audience as our parting little word?
I would say whatever you may actually believe this. If you take away one thing from this, we're still at the cutting edge. It doesn't matter whether you are at one end of the spectrum where you're really purposing your channel and it's just as you would want it to be, or you're just starting. Compared with the general population, the very fact we're on this Hangout and we're having a discussion puts us within the top 5 to 10%. So the question isn't can you do it, it's more how will you do it and when will you do it. And it is worth, just because of the way things are going. I mean, you know, conventional TV production's getting really, really expensive, and studio time's getting more and more expensive. And you know, I sit in the UK and I see stuff on Netflix and Amazon Prime that's streaming a week after this program's aired in the States, so but never been shown on TV. Sorry, that's a contradiction. There's certain things that are being launched on video channels rather than TV now. Okay, those are the big boys doing that, but we can do similar things. So to rewind a little bit, we are in the top 5 to 10% just by dint of being here. We can, just by doing 5 or 6 things particularly well and being clear on what our market is, we can develop some significant traction, and we can do that from home, and it's quite remarkable. So it is worth sticking with, and if some things are a little bit tedious or some things are a bit challenging, stick with it, because the payoff is well worth it. So that's my, if you like, my sound bite for the day, Sandra.
That sounds good. And then obviously our call to action would be go to our channel, check it out, subscribe. We don't have a lot of subscribers, so heck, we want subscribers.
After all that we've said, yes, we do.
And if there's somebody in the stream that you'd like to see what they're doing, go to their YouTube channel. This is a time for us to start exploring and see what it is we want. Second call to action, find somebody that does something similar to what you do. See if they have a channel, if they're doing something that you like. Maybe start modeling it a little bit differently. Start thinking about it, but let's start doing something with our YouTube channel. That being said, Mr. Sean, it was delightful to have you on today. We've gone over a little bit, and we're going to end this with our singing the ABC song. And if the rest of you will just sing in along with us, we won't hear you, but we'll be able to grin a little bit. So, as I start, Sean.
Oh, just before we do that, story catchers, we'll put something. We will put something in the stream. We can't do it now, and it'll probably be for next time. But story catchers, thanks for your latest question. We have noted it, and we will get back to you. Sorry, Sandra.
Okay, are you ready, sir? One,
ready, always ready.
2, 3.
A, B, C. Let's start again. Start again, please.
Okay. All right.
B, C, D, E, F. Come on, Sandra. G.
Google
Google
Plus
Plus
for you
for you
and
and
me.
me. There we go. Wasn't that worth hanging on
Okay.
for, everybody?
See you next time when we
See you next
rock
time,
the
guys.
blocks with the ABCs of Google Plus.